Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bienvenue à cette séance du conseil tenue en huis clos et les membres du conseil y assistent de manière virtuelle conformément à l'arrêté ministériel numéro 2020-074 du 2 octobre 2020 du ministère de la Santé et des Services sociaux. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our council meeting, our virtual council meeting, to conform to the ministerial decree that says we have to have this in a closed room, in a closed chambers. Excuse me. I'm joined this evening by Councillors Elizabeth Hewlin, Councillors Colleen Feeney, Councillor Maria Torres. Councillor Dino Mazzoni is not with us tonight. He sends his regrets. As well, I'm joined by Maitre Rafael Destasio, our Director General, Maitre Claude Gilbert, our Town Clerk, and Manon Chalk, who's responsible for communications in the town. Alors, on va commencer, on va débuter la séance. On va débuter avec l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. Adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du 22 mars 2021, modifié comme suite en remettant le point 1b, demande de dérogation mineure 38 Campbell.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Et c'est le point 11b. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. L'approbation des procès-verbaux, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je propose d'approuver les procès-verbaux de la séance ordinaire du conseil tenue le 22 février 2021.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci bien. Alors, on passe tout de suite au rapport du maire. We're going right to the mayor's report. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous. Welcome to our regular council meeting. We'll answer questions from the residents that have been submitted until 3 p.m. today on any topic. In the second question period, we will take questions pertaining to the agenda only that were submitted via our website during this meeting. Bienvenue à notre réunion régulière du conseil municipal. Nous répondrons aux questions des résidents soumis jusqu'à 15 heures aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Au cours de la deuxième période de questions, nous répondrons aux questions relatives à l'ordre du jour soumis via notre site web lors de cette réunion. With spring on our doorsteps, our ritual infrastructure work is taking shape. As you're reading this, we have already issued our call for tenders for the repaving work to be undertaken on Avon between Westminster and the overpassing to Lachine at Ronald Drive. This was part of the agreement we had with the Ministère du Transport du Québec and related to the Turcotte reconstruction project. They are contributing financial assistance in the area of $600,000. Originally, we were projected to repave Avon from the NDG border to the Lachine border, but upon investigating the pipes in the section between Westminster and the NDG border, we see that we will have to reconstruct that road and replace those pipes. That, however, requires coordination with the City of Montreal, so unfortunately, it will not happen this year. However, this year, we will repave the section going down the hill to the Lachine border. As well, we will very soon issue a call for tenders to rebuild Fenwick from Ainsley until Rennie. That work is our typical Montreal-West project: replacement of water mains, sewers, lighting, sidewalks, road foundation, and surface. As the sidewalks on Fenwick already have boulevards, that grassy area between the curb and the sidewalk, we held a public consultation with the residents on Fenwick on March 9th to ask for their opinions on whether to continue with the boulevards, remove them from one side, or remove them from both sides. The residents voted to keep the status quo, so that the existing type of boulevards will be incorporated into the final design. There was an interesting article in the Gazette on March 16th entitled "Suburbs of Quebec's Large Cities Have the Highest Economic Vitality." The study was conducted by l'Institut de Statistique du Québec, and it concludes that the most economically healthy municipalities are in the metropolitan regions of Montreal. The highest Montreal region municipality was TMR, which was ranked 41st overall, followed by Westmount ranked 62nd and Montreal-West, which ranked 76th. The rankings go all the way to 1,162. The study looked at population growth, median household income, percentage employed, etc. Another little reason for some OWest pride. Anniversaries are sometimes joyous and sometimes somber opportunities to remember special dates in our lives. Unfortunately, March 11th was a somber occasion. I participated in a Montreal Island service commemorating those lives lost because of COVID-19. And as the positive news continues with regards to the vaccine rollout, let's not forget those we have lost, and let's please keep our guard up. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much. We'll move right on now to councillors' reports. We're going to start with seat number 4. Councillor Maria Torres reporting on matters pertaining to the environment, public works, and buildings. Councillor Torres, can you unmute your mic, please?
Yes, thank you. Bonsoir, good evening. I hope you all enjoy this fabulous spring day. As Mayor Masala commented or mentioned on March 9th, the town held a public meeting where residents of Fenwick Avenue were asked their opinion about the existing boulevards. So I'm not going to repeat the same story. However, I wanted to let you know that it was, my opinion, very successful. I received a lot of wonderful comments from the residents, and I just would like to thank everybody who participated and organized it. So I'm going to be having a little bit of problems with my computer. It's kind of frozen. Oh, Lord. Sorry. My computer froze.
Councillor Torres, do you want me to move on to somebody else and we can come back?
Yes, please, and then come back to me and I'll finish my report. Thank you.
No problem at all. So as I said, Councillor Mazzoni is not here this evening, so there won't be a report from seat number 1. So we'll go right to seat number 2 on matters pertaining to communications and recreation and culture. Councillor Elizabeth Yulin.
Good evening, bonsoir. Thank you for joining us tonight. So just to get to the report, unfortunately, our traditional March break camp wasn't permitted this year, but our summer camp is going ahead with registration starting March 24th at 9 a.m. To start, registration will be available to residents only, and if there's room, we may be able to add some non-residents later in the spring. Of course, this plan could always be upended by the virus and the government's response to it, but we're certainly hopeful that we're going to be able to go ahead as planned. Virtual seniors activities this month included a talk on fraud with the SPVM and a session on senior discovery tours on the current travel situation and what they might expect in the future. In special events this month, we provided pop-up musical entertainment and hot chocolate at the outdoor rinks, which, as you might imagine, are now closed for the season, especially after today. Free snowshoe rentals and an online St. Patrick's Day concert and a creative snowman contest were also held this month. So congratulations to the McCutcheon family for their winning snowman. Our annual Cottontail party will be replaced this year by an egg hunt in the park on Sunday, March 28th, and an Easter egg themed house decorating contest. And you can find details about both of those things on the website. Free skate and family hockey rentals will continue at the arena until March 30th, and you can check out the website for details and to book a slot for yourself. Finally, switching over to the communications file, the department, as you can imagine, is working mostly this month on matters related to COVID directives and the vaccine rollout, which, as I'm sure most of you know now, includes everyone 60 and over. So I hope any of you who are eligible for the vaccine have had it or booked one. And that's it for me. Please stay safe. I can answer any questions you have during the last question period. Thanks very much.
Thank you very, very much, Councillor Yulin. Reporting on from seat number 3 on matters pertaining to urban planning, finance, administration, and human resources, Councillor Colleen Feeney.
Thank you. Bonsoir, good evening, everyone. I'll start off with finance and administration. Just to let you know that the town hall offices and all the town offices will be closed from Friday, April 2nd to Monday, April 5th, inclusive for the Easter holidays. The 2020 audit is ongoing in the finance department. The financial statements are being prepared and they should be completed by the April meeting. Statements of account for outstanding 2019 outstanding balances have also been sent out. And the refinancing that was discussed at last month's meeting of the $1,373,000 was completed at a very advantageous rate of 1.32%. Our tech grant 2019-2023, I don't know if I'm stealing Councillor Torres's thunder here, but it has been approved and it comes with a nice grant amount of $1,079,000, which can be applied to those approved projects, possibly Fenwick. And also the town, as the mayor has said, has several projects going on this year, and there were calls for tender already being sent out and some more that will be going out for other things such as roof repairs and line marking, etc. So it will be a busy year for the town. In terms of financial disbursements, this past month we spent $692,000. And if you'd like to know where your money is going, well, about a third of it went for the deductions at source and benefits and utilities, as usual. And another, more than a third of it, about 36%, went to the public works area. And there we had some very major expenditures. Snow removal and the associated costs, including the rental of a snow blower, amounted to $103,000. Salt and some asphalt, etc., was another $20,000 on top of that. And there was a lot of money spent on vehicles in this past month, and that was repairs and sometimes new tires, etc. But also there was a vehicle registration for all our vehicles. That was $22,000, contributing to the whole amount for vehicles of over $40,000. And lastly, the major expense really was in the capital expenditures. There was about $15,000 spent on consultants related to our infrastructure work and $45,000 spent on vehicles. In this case, it was an asphalt spreader, and also some money spent to the city of Montreal. That was a small amount, $12,000. So those were the major expenditures for this past month. If I move on to urban planning now, it has been busy. There were 31 permits issued in the month of March, mostly for home renovations. The next meeting of PAC will be April the 7th, and the submissions for that are due this coming Wednesday, March 24th. And after that, there will be a meeting April 21st, and the submissions are due April 7th. I wanted to remind residents that this is coming to be a very busy time of the month. So please, we appreciate if you get your projects in early to ensure they are reviewed in a timely manner. And to remind you also that the Urban Planning Department, although it remains fully operational during the pandemic, the permit applications are accepted only online through the town's website, and the procedure is explained on the website. Lastly, I'll move to the Seniors Committee. The Seniors Advisory Group did meet in February, and they completed the timetable on the plan of action, and they submitted this to the government along with a few other documents for the finalization of our approval as a MATA community. The senior outreach program also continues with our delivering of groceries and making of phone calls. And I have to say, it was particularly helpful to have this system already in place so that we could contact seniors quickly about the vaccine rollout, reservation system, and provide assistance if necessary. So that really was a wonderful initiative taken during the pandemic. And finally, as National Volunteer Week is coming up in April, we will not be having an in-person event, but I wanted to thank everyone for volunteering this past year, and a special thank you, shout out to the volunteers that I have worked with on the Planning Advisory Committee, the PAC, and also on the Seniors, MATA Seniors Advisory Committee and the Senior Outreach Committee. Your work is invaluable. And for those who had to temporarily stop their volunteering because of the pandemic, we are hoping that with numbers going down and vaccines going up, you will be able to resume that in the near future. So, hey, we made it to spring. Hang in there and stay healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Colleen. Councillor Feeney, excuse me. And now back to Councillor Torres, reporting from seat number 4, excuse me, on matters pertaining to the environment, public works, and buildings. Councillor Torres?
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm sorry about my computer was having a little bit of trouble. So I'll continue. So I'm talking about right now about the public works. The warmer temperatures and lack of precipitation have provided an early start to spring. The street sweeper will be out as soon as the temperature is consistently above 0. And please consult the town's website for parking restrictions across town during street sweeping maintenance work. If possible, please park your car outside on your driveway. That is for safety and also to help us keep the town clean. And in addition, you might save yourself a ticket. In early April, Public Works will start installing all the seasonal traffic calming measures, as well as start all cleanup operations. The town parks and green spaces will be prepared for use as soon as the weather permits. Additionally, and this is especially for the dog owners who use the seasonal dog run on Hodgson Field, the fences will be removed mid-April. As it was mentioned before, the road surfacing of Avon between Westminster and Ronald Drive will likely start at some point in late April. Information concerning the construction and directions will be available to residents via e-bulletins and the town website as soon as it is available. Please do not forget to respect all the traffic signage in the various town construction zones. Now, moving on to trees and the environment. Unfortunately, in the last month, many ash trees infected with the emerald ash borer were cut down. The stumps will be removed as soon as possible. In early April, Public Works will begin planning the 2021 Spring Tree Planting Initiative. Plans include planting about 50 trees in the spring. Those 50 plus residents who have been selected to receive a tree will be contacted and asked to choose among 3 different tree species. Please return the form with the required information back to Public Works as soon as possible, so they can start planning and buying the trees. In addition, any residents interested in a public tree to be planted should also contact Public Works as soon as possible. Stay tuned in mid-April for information via the town's e-bulletin for the upcoming 2021 tree giveaway. Delivery of these trees is planned for mid-May. Last, I would like to invite you to read the article in the Informer entitled Pollinator Party, written by 2 of the members of the Environmental Action Committee, Laura Cousineau and Chloe Corbon. In this article, they explain, not only give us an update of what we have been doing in the committee, but also explains the next initiative of the Environment Action Committee. We're hoping that you like this project and wish to join us. We are looking forward to hearing from you. That's all for me this evening. If you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate to send me an email. And please stay safe, and merci et bonsoir à tous.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. That concludes the councillors' reports. We're going to move now to the first question period. On passe tout de suite à la première période des questions. Ces questions ont été envoyées. La première période, les questions pouvaient toucher sur n'importe quel sujet et ont été envoyées sur le site web aujourd'hui jusqu'à 15 heures. Alors, je vais lire la question et je vais demander à une des conseillères de le répondre. So first question comes from Joanne Goldwater at 279 Sheraton Drive. Hello to all. Now that Côte Saint-Luc is planting more trees to improve the tree canopy on Côte Saint-Luc Road, what will Montréal-Ouest be doing to make Sheraton Park a more welcoming green space? There's much that could be done to make it an attractive natural space. Thanks. Ms. Goldwater, just to give you an idea, we have already opened the discussion in council about redoing Sheraton Park. But we had great success when we redid R.D. Paul Park over on Ballantyne, north of the hump, and east of Westminster. There was a little park there. But what we did was we actually sat down and had a public consultation with the residents to see what kind of park they wanted. So we have planned to do the same thing with Sheraton Park. Unfortunately, because there's a lot going on this year in terms of infrastructure work, I can't promise that we'll have that consultation before the end of the year, but we will have a consultation because we do want to see some improvement in Sheraton Park. And I don't think that we're going to plant trees there until we have a better idea of the use, of the final use for the park, because nothing worse than planting a tree and then having to move it because you want to use a space a little bit differently. So we have been planting more trees all around town, but Sheraton Park in particular, until we have our consultation, we're not going to do too much with it because we want to try and do it as efficiently as possible. Thank you very much for your question, Joanne Goldwater. Second question comes from Richard Gianfelice, 233 Westminster Avenue North. Can the current temporary fenced-in dog run on Hodgson Field be moved to the unused area of land between the basketball court and the fencing along the train tracks, or to a similar spot along the train track fencing in George Booth Park? There are many first-time dog owners due to people working from home because of the pandemic, and frequent discussions with them and existing dog owners leads me to believe a more centrally located dog run between the Hump and Sherbrooke, where most residents live, would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, please.
Sure. Thank you very much for your question, Richard. In 2014, we did a very, very extensive study about where to put our dog park. We had a committee, we had public consultations. It went on for, I'm going to say, between 6 months and a year even. And essentially, we chose the park where it is now by the town hall because that location met all the criteria that we required in a dog park. Top among them, it not being near any residential properties so as not to disturb the peace in those areas. So I, like yourself, well, I don't know, I don't recall in your question if you said you're a new dog owner. I got a puppy myself, like a lot of people in Montreal-Ouest, not long ago. And I really understand the need for a dog park. And I know that we get a lot of enjoyment out of the one on Hodgson's Field in the winter. But the fact is that the locations that you're suggesting were looked at in the consultation that we did in 2014. And they were not deemed to be appropriate locations because of the proximity to residential properties and the configurations that they would have to have with respect to the narrowness. It's also important to say that in this, other than in the winter, those locations are used on a regular daily basis by our other recreational activities. And so I'm afraid we're going to be keeping the Hodgson dog run a winter dog run, and I hope you'll get use out of the beautiful dog park that we have over by the town hall. But we're going to be sticking to that one for now for an all-season park. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thank you very much for your question, Richard Gianfelice. Next question comes from Marie Bella, 77 Brock North. Why were a large number of trees, probably ash, cut down on Brock and Ballantyne North? The cut surface of the trees did not appear to be diseased. Will the town be cleaning the mess left over from the cutting? The branches and sawdust will be particularly evident once the snow melts, and it is bound to ruin lawns and gardens. Could it have been predicted that the ash trees were going to succumb within the decade? And was the ash tree vaccination program a waste of taxpayer money since it only delayed the inevitable by a couple of years? Councillor Torres, please.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the question, Marie. I'll go one question at a time. Yes, the trees that have been cut on Brock and Ballantyne are all ash trees. All of them are being infected by the emerald ash borer. And you mentioned that the surface on the trunks didn't appear to be diseased. These trees, when the beetle gets inside the tree, it goes on the bark and then starts building all kind of canals, but not necessarily, you don't see it when you cut it, but it's right on the outside. And one of the signs is that this tree, the top of the tree starts getting drier before anything else. And that is one of the dangers, because then the higher up branches can fall down at any time. We have a very small window. We're allowed to cut it between November and March and dispose of all the branches right away. So yes, all the branches will be picked up as soon as possible, because the deadline is coming. And the stump will be removed soon after. I mean, we're hoping that they're going to pick it up. It's not as important as cutting the tree, but the stump will be removed. Now, you said that could it have been predicted that the ash trees were going to succumb? We started a program vaccinating the trees in 2011. At that time, it was not for sure that the vaccine was going to work. It was not 100%. However, we had to try it because it would give us, first of all, the benefit of prolonging the life of the tree, which allow us to plant other trees in between. And the other thing is we were hoping that maybe a vaccination or something would happen in the interim to save the tree. It didn't happen. It hasn't happened yet. Nobody has come up with something else, and the beetle is still out there. So unfortunately we have to cut it, but it has allowed us to plant a lot of other trees. And I can tell you, my house, for example, I had a mature, beautiful tree that it was cut down last week. However, a couple of years ago, we saw that the top of the tree was dying and it was infected. We knew it was coming. We planted a tree next to it. By now, it's not a very old tree by any means, but it's growing and providing some shade and some benefit with their canopy. So I hope I answered your question. And if not, please send me an email and I'll be very happy to talk a little bit further. Or you can always consult our website, where we do have a lot of information concerning the ash tree situation in Montreal-West. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres, and thank you for your question, Marie Bena. Next question comes from Matthew Sherrard, 139 Brock Avenue South. Can you please verify if there are any restrictions on trucks that can circulate on Ronald Drive and Brock South? If so, can Montreal-West Public Security enforce these restrictions, or does it have to be the SPVM? We note a large number of transport trucks that pass on Brock South, especially at night. Thank you. So to answer the question, the second question first, Mr. Sherrard, yes, it's the SPVM that are responsible for enforcing that. Unfortunately, it's a moving violation, and the public securities on the island don't have the power to enforce moving violations. But the second, back to your first question about restrictions, there are some restrictions depending on the kind of truck it is, basically on the gross vehicular weight of the truck. And you can tell that whether it's an L plate, which means a heavy truck, or an F plate, which is just a basic commercial. So what we need to do is we need to get a little bit more information. So if you want, you could actually email public security at montrealwest.ca to let them know what kind of trucks you're seeing, if they have L plates or F plates, because F plates are allowed, L plates are not. All right, so that's a little bit of a difference there, and we can do a little bit more investigation from there. Thank you very much for your question, Matthew Sherrard. Next question comes from Daniel Bulleris, 204 Wolseley Avenue North, Montreal-West. And it's also, I'm going to also attack in a question from Janice Hamilton. And let me just get Janice's address on Valentine. Janice's address is 203 Valentine Avenue North. So one part of the question is the same, and I'll just put them together. My questions are about the recent court decision on Toblake Collector that will kill the St. Pierre River stream that runs through Meadowbrook. Council has already said that some of the Montreal-West cross connections responsible for the polluted stream have been fixed. In 2018, Friends of Meadowbrook sent Mr. Masella a list of Montreal-West addresses, which according to Daniel Green of La Société pour Vaincre la Pollution had cross connections. One, is this list accurate based on the town's records? And two, how many cross connections are yet to be fixed? Thank you. Our administration tells us that we've been working with the data from the City of Montreal and those that the town collects. I'm not sure that I can do a comparison with the other source of the information, that list from Mr. Green. The town has been doing our sampling, and we've actually been reconstructing a lot of roads. Like I said, we've already done Wolseley, we've done Crestwood, we've done Sheraton. These are streets in the north side that are mostly contributing to any kind of cross connections. Right now, we've identified 9 potential cross connections that are left to be corrected, but we haven't finished sampling. Unfortunately, sampling, because of COVID, really has slowed down an awful lot. It's a little bit uncomfortable to go into somebody's house to do the test to see what's going on. But we're continuing to collaborate with the City of Montreal to make sure that we're taking care of any problems that we come across. Like I said, as we stand right now, we've identified 9 cross connections in that whole area over there. And the second part of the question, I'm going to go to the question asked by Janice Hamilton. Is Montreal-West willing to meet with the City of Montreal and Côte-Saint-Luc to find a long-term solution that will save the river? In the judgment in January that you're referring to, the court ordered the City of Montreal to put an end to any discharge into the Meadowbrook stream from storm sewers that flow into it by pipeline bypass or any other measure necessary in order to stop these spills. And it's got to do within 18 months. We have no jurisdiction. We can't tell the City of Montreal how they need to do these things. Their experts are doing what's necessary to find the most sustainable solution. But we're continuing to participate with them, with the City of Montreal, to help solve this problem, rectify the situation as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your question, Daniel Bulleries and Janice Hamilton. Next question comes from Peter Rosmovitz at 141 Bedbrook Avenue. Hello, Mr. Mayor and Town Councillors. My family and I are big fans of the virtual council meetings. It's been a distinct advantage for giving our whole family easy access to these meetings. Much appreciated. We have a question regarding the 2 trees that were recently cut down in George Booth Park. We assume they were being removed because they are diseased. Could you please confirm? And is there a plan to replace the removed trees? And the last part, are there plans on the horizon for maintenance or beautification of George Booth Park? So I'm going to ask Councillor Torres to answer the first 2 questions about the trees, and then I'll go to Councillor Yulin for the last question. Go ahead, Councillor Torres, please.
Yes. Hi, Peter. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, the trees were diseased. As I said before, we have removed a lot of trees from town. So I'm confirming that that is the case. We do plan absolutely to replace the trees. The stump has to be removed, and then we need certain time for the balance of the roots to dissolve, and then a tree will be planted in the same location. But I'd like to add that we do have in town an accelerated planting program in place, where we try to plant as many trees as possible, not only to replace the ones that we're cutting down, but also to fill all the gaps where there have not been trees for many years. And that is, Councillor Ewing and I will be working this month, talking to many people about this program. So I appreciate your question, and yes, we will be replaced, all of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. And Councillor Yulin, if you can handle the question about sprucing up George Booth Park, please.
Right. Well, it's a good question. I think I'm going to answer you the way we spoke about Joanne's question earlier about Sheraton Park. And that is, when we're going to do any kind of modification to a park, we like to ask the neighbors around what they'd like to do with it. So the first step would be to have some kind of consultation. And that's, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not likely to be happening in 2021. We've got our hands very, very full and a lack of resources with COVID still. But before anything were to be done with that park, the residents in the area would certainly be consulted. So I'm going to have to leave it there, because I think it's not going to be an immediate project. That particular park has, a nice little playground. It has an open field. We're definitely going to plant more trees there where the others came down. But we're always looking for new ideas for the parks and to make them the most pleasant places we can for residents. And residents will be consulted when we get around to looking at sprucing up George Booth. But thanks for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin, and thank you for your questions, Mr. Rosmovitz. Last question comes from Ian Robinson, 143 Ballantyne Avenue North. In several areas of Montreal, as an example, the corner of Royal and Sherbrooke, the City of Montreal has set up common areas with chairs such that citizens may sit and chat to others. The chairs are arranged in a large circle around what appears to be some artistic pieces. The chairs are spaced for social distancing and are usually well occupied. From a well-being aspect, these chairs offer an escape for citizens and a change to interact personally versus the internet. I'm asking if council would consider the same for various areas of Montreal-West. Thank you. Councilor Yulin, can you handle the question, please?
Sure. Thanks very much for your question, Ian. It's a great one, and it's actually something that we've been considering. So you're not alone in thinking this is a really good idea. What we're looking at is to perhaps have something like what you're describing in the fall. In looking at our open spaces, our feeling is that in the summertime, there is more ample space for people to social distance and essentially hang out in a park. Come the fall, and certainly in the winter time, that's much more challenging. And as much as I'd like to say that this will all be over by the fall, I think it's more reasonable to say we're going to be needing the social distancing protocols for longer, so that we're looking at instituting some of what you're suggesting exactly for the fall in various areas in Montreal-West. So thanks very much for the great suggestion.
Thank you very much, Councilor Yulin, and thank you for your question, Mr. Robinson. That's finished the first question period. We'll go on now to contracts in the town clerk's office. The first one is an entente avec le Centre d'acquisition gouvernementale, CAG. And just so you know, the CAG, the Centre d'acquisition gouvernementale, is an agency that the government has mandated that takes care of purchasing odds and ends and even selling odds and ends. You can sell an old truck, old computers through this agency. You can go for group purchases for certain things with this agency or what they have on offer, what they've already purchased. So this entente lets us to formalizes a relationship that we have with them, so that if we want to, we can take advantage of their services. Je peux avoir quelqu'un pour faire la motion, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire. Attendu que le CAG est un organisme relevant au conseil du Trésor qui assume diverses responsabilités et entre autres, à l'approvisionnement et la fourniture de services pour les bénéfices des ministres et organismes du gouvernement québécois, mais également d'autres organismes publics, dont les municipalités. Attendu que le CAG est aussi responsable de la disposition des biens excédentaires au sein du gouvernement et offre ce service aux municipalités intéressées sans exiger qu'elles y aient exclusivement recours et plutôt en tout en tant qu'option, excusez-moi, dont elles peuvent se prévaloir. Attendu que le CAG demande aux municipalités intéressées de conclure une entente pour précisant leur rôle et les responsabilités respectives à cet égard. Par conséquent, je propose, numéro 1, que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest accepte les conditions de cette entente avec le CAG concernant l'utilisation de ses services pour la disposition de biens excédentaires. Deuxièmement, que le greffier soit autorisé à signer la dite entente et à agir comme personne responsable de son application. Troisièmement, que le directeur des travaux publics soit autorisé à agir comme personne responsable pour les aspects opérationnels en général. Quatrièmement, que la trésorière soit autorisée à agir comme personne responsable des ressources financières. Et finalement, que la présente résolution remplace la résolution numéro 2018-06-26-005.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Oui.
C. Earth Hour 2021.
Whereas the Earth Hour is a yearly international event sponsored by the World Wildlife Fund, whereas this event is intended to increase public awareness of the importance of saving energy to fight climate change, whereas every year more than 7,000 municipalities in about 190 countries participate in this initiative, I move that the town of Montreal-West agree to turn off all non-essential lighting for 1 hour on Saturday, March 27th, 2021, starting at 8:30 p.m. That all residents of Montreal-West be encouraged to join this event in the same way. And last, that the town of Montreal-West invite all Montreal Island municipalities to take part in the Earth Hour 2021.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, all in favor, please.
Yes.
Thank you very
Yes.
much. C. Contrat de location d'une photocopieur.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose, premièrement, que la ville de Montréal-Ouest accepte les modalités du contrat conclu avec Ricoh Canada Incorporé pour la location d'une photocopieur à l'hôtel de ville, modèle IMC 4500. Deuxièmement, que le prix total soit 7 107 $ avant taxes, plus les coûts de copie à l'unité. Troisièmement, que la trésorière soit autorisée à signer le contrat au nom de la ville pour une durée de 60 mois, effectif à compter du 1er mars 2021. Et quatrièmement, que cette dépense soit imputée au poste budgétaire 02-130-0030-517.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'ai pris.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. Seulement pour savoir, le prix qu'on veut payer est un peu moins pour la location et le prix unitaire pour les copies est beaucoup moins que le dernier contrat. Numéro 10, Administration and Finances, approval of disbursements for the period from February 19 to March 17th, 2021, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the list of accounts payable from February 19th to March 17th, 2021, totaling $692,058.61 be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Fini, can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Art, etc.
I move that given the total number of hours being requested for rent and in keeping with past practices, the council agrees to rent the Assembly Hall on the occasion of the Arts and Craft Fair that will take place during 3 days in November 2021 for a bulk discount amount of $2,907, taxes included, in consideration of a total of 24 hours of rental for the event, set up and clean up, and to keep the other terms and conditions of the previous agreement in effect. Secondly, that council accept that the deposit to secure the reservation be of $500 upon signing the agreement, followed by a payment of $2,407 no later than August 1st, 2021. And thirdly and last, that a further amount of $500 be paid before the event takes place as a reimbursable safety deposit.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fini. Before I move to the vote, I just want to know that when we discussed this in caucus, Councillor Yulin did not participate in the discussions that we had because in the past she's been a participant in Art, etc. So she's also going to abstain from the vote tonight. So if I could have all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So we're going to move on now to the Urban Department. Urban Planning Urban Planning, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program. Councillor Feeney, please.
Yes, just getting prepared for that. All right, first, I move, first of all, to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of 2 meetings held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on March the 3rd and March 17th, 2021. And second, to approve as presented under the SPAIP, the following plans submitted to the meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 57 Ballantyne North, demolition of the backyard mudroom, construction of a 2-story extension on the side, replacement of stucco and modification to openings. 34 Ballantyne North, replacement of roofing material. 123 Brock North, replacement of the front door, transom above and trim around the front door. 11 Banstead, replacement of 8 windows and 2 patio doors. 131 Broughton, modifications to the front stairs, landing, and railings. Third, to approve with conditions under the SPAIP, the following plans submitted to the meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 138 Broughton, replacement of a window by a patio door, relocation of 2 windows, and closing of some openings.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
Yep, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Le point B, la demande de délégation mineure 38 Campbell a été remis. Alors, ça va apparaître dans une prochaine séance. Letter C, minor exemption request 250 Percival. Councillor Feeney, if you could just give a very quick précis on that one, please.
Okay, so what this is an extension, a request for an extension on the back of a house, and it's a semi-detached house. And normally in a case like that, there is a requirement for a setback from the mitoyen or the center wall, which is a proportion of the size of the width of the extension. However, in this particular that particular setback would be 1.15 meters. In this particular case, the resident already has a structure there, and they are demolishing it and replacing it with another structure of exactly identical size. It will not have any setback from the mitoyen wall, but the detached neighbor also has the structure of identical size, which does not have a setback from the mitoyen wall. So the 2 structures will be exactly the same as they currently are. So that's why it was decided to approve this particular one. So I think Councillor Yulin was going to be moving that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. If I could have somebody make the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the plans and requests submitted to the February 17th, 2021 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with Bylaw 2020-002 and G 18-0005 for the following minor exemption from Section 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 250 Percival in Zone RB3 to allow the construction of an extension to a semi-detached building with a 0-meter setback from the side property line, while the minimum setback is 1.15 meters. The consequence being to remove this requirement.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, all in favor, please?
Aye.
Very much. A minor exemption request for 57 Ballantyne North. Again, I'm going to ask, and the reason why I asked Councillor Feeney for the little précis is because all these minor exemption requests have to work their way through our Planning Advisory Committee, and Councillor Feeney chairs that committee. So that's why I've always asked her for the little summary. So if you could summarize for 57 Ballantyne North, please.
Absolutely, thank you. So again, this is another extension, and it's at the back of a house, and this one does, abide by all the setbacks, etc. But in this particular case, it has a flat roof. Now, normally we require a slope on a roof of an extension of a particular angle, but this particular house has very unique roof and some turrets, etc. And the architect and the architects around our table actually realized that it would be extremely difficult and pretty awkward to have an extension which fit in with the current roof configuration. So they actually thought that the flat roof was the proper way to go in this particular case. And so that's why they recommended approving this minor exemption.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. So if we could have somebody make the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the plans and requests submitted to the February 17, 2021 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G18-0005 for the following minor exception from section 3.3.8 of the zoning bylaw regarding the movable located at 57 Valentine North in zone RA-5. 2, allow the construction of a 2-story side extension of the main building with a flat roof, while the minimum roof slope is 312 in this zone. The consequence being to remove this requirement.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Minor, well, we got a couple more to go. Minor exemption request for 35 Valentine Avenue North. Councillor Feeney?
Okay, so this is a case for a real estate transaction. There's no change to the property as it currently is. The property dates back to 1910, but it doesn't respect all the particular setbacks. And so this is to actually normalize the house the way it currently is with our current bylaws.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have somebody move the motion, please?
Oh, is that me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I move that the plans and requests submitted to the February 17th, 2021 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G18-0005 for the following minor exemptions from the Schedule of Uses and Standards in effect under section 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 35 Valentine North in zone RA5. 2, normalize a lateral setback for the main building, which is of 0 meters instead of the minimum 1.2 meters required in that zone. The consequence being to reduce this requirement by 1.2 meters. Normalize the combined lateral setback of the main building, which is 2.23 meters instead of the minimum 4 meters required in that zone. The consequence being to reduce this requirement by 1.77 meters. And finally, normalize the rear setback of the main building, which is of 5.39 meters instead of the minimum of 6.1 meters required in that zone. The consequence being to reduce this requirement by 0.71 meters.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. All in favor, please.
Aye.
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 Very much. 2 more to go, folks. Minor exemption request 25 Garden.
Okay, so in this particular case, the PAC looked at it. The request was to build a mudroom in the front of the house. However, the front of the house did not respect the current lateral setback from the front yard, meaning that if they put this mudroom in the front, it would even further deviate from the norm, and it would be actually quite a large exemption that they were requesting in that particular case. So PAC recommended that this particular request not be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. So if I could have somebody make the motion, please.
Yes, certainly, Mr. Mayor. I move that the plans and requests submitted to the February 17th, 2021 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be refused. In accordance with the committee's recommendation for the following, in accordance with the committee's recommendation, despite the committee's recommendation for the following minor exemption from the schedule of uses and standards in effect under section 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 25 Garden in zone RA-1 to allow the construction of a mudroom for the main building with a front setback of 0.55 meters instead of the minimum 4.57 meters required in that zone, and the consequence being to reduce this requirement by 0.55 meters.
Thank you very much, Councilor Yulin. I just want to confirm, I was under the impression that PAC as well did not want us to, the recommendation was to not accept this. So
I apologize. Okay.
No problem. So I just want to make sure I understood it. It's in accordance with their recommendation to.
We are in accordance with their recommendation, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's my error.
It's okay. It's okay. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, before I second it, though, I think there is another error in that one, and that is the final statement is the requirement should have been 4.57 meters, and it would be the requirement is a minimum of 4.57 meters, and the setback would be 0.55 meters. So the consequence would have been to reduce the requirement by 4.02 meters at the end. Okay, do you accept that amendment?
Councilor Yulin?
I will accept that amendment. I will.
Thank you very much, Councilor Yulin. And thank you, Councilor Feeney. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Public Library, 41 Westminster North. They're moved over to their temporary location on Westminster North, and they need to change their sign. They would like to try and do it as efficiently as possible, and they're wanting to reuse the framing of the awning for the business that was there before them. So they're asking for a little derogation so that they can reuse that existing frame. So if we could have somebody move the motion, please.
Certainly. Whereas the Montreal-West Public Library has relocated to 41-43 Westminster North and has entered into a lease with the owner for a 3-year term that may be renewed. Whereas it is understood that the library will eventually move to the mixed-use building, the Easton, that will be erected at the corner of Avon Road and Westminster Avenue. Whereas the replacement project of the library's sign at a new temporary location was approved under the SPAIP by virtue of Resolution 2021-10222-009. And whereas the proposed sign is not in conformance to the zoning bylaw in terms of the size, but similar to the former commercial tenant sign at that address, therefore, I move to accept the specifications by Le Groupe Bellon Prestige in the 6th of January, 2021, regarding a sign for the Montreal-West Public Library at 41-43 Westminster Avenue North for as long as it will remain at this location.
Thank you very much, Councilor Yulin. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
Thank you very much, Councilor Torres. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Our next one goes to Public Works, and believe it or not, we haven't even washed away the existing salt, and we're talking about buying salt for next year's. But this is just a mandate to have the City of Montreal represent us, as they've been doing for the past couple of years. We get together as a group purchase. So this is mandating for next year's purchase of salt. Je peux avoir quelqu'un proposer la résolution, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire. Entendu que la Ville de Montréal offre de mettre en offre la coordination d'un appel d'offres regroupé au nombre de villes liées participants intéressés pour la fourniture de sel de déglaçage à compter du 15 septembre 2021 jusqu'au 30 avril 2022. Entendu que le directeur des travaux publics agit à titre de représentant de la Ville de Montréal-Ouest à cet effet, en conséquence, je propose 1. Que le conseil autorise la participation de la ville de Montréal-Ouest à un appel d'offres regroupé pour l'octroi d'un contrat de fourniture de sel de chimie en vrac. Deuxièmement, que la ville de Montréal-Ouest délégue à la ville de Montréal les pouvoirs de préparer les devis et les autres documents d'appel d'offres, de recevoir et d'analyser les soumissions et de produire un rapport sur les résultats auprès des municipalités participantes. Et troisièmement, que le directeur des travaux publics et le directeur adjoint des travaux publics soient autorisés chacun à signer tous les documents nécessaires aux fins de la présente résolution.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Merci. On passe tout de suite à l'avis de motion. Est-ce que j'ai rien manqué? OK, on passe tout de suite à l'avis de motion. Je donne avis de motion par la présente qu'à une prochaine séance du conseil, un règlement intitulé « Règlement autorisant un emprunt de 2 154 100 $ pour la réalisation de travaux de réfection de la chaussée et des trottoirs, conduits d'aqueduc et des conduits d'égouts sanitaires et pluviales et remplacement des lampadaires sur l'avenue Fenwick. Un projet de règlement est déposé à ce conseil et mis à la disposition du public. So just to rephrase that in English, it's giving notice of motion that we're going to be going out to a loan bylaw, that we're going to be proposing a loan bylaw in the amount of $2,154,100 to undertake that work that will be on Fenwick, to redo the reconstruction of Fenwick. And that's going to be from Ainsley all the way to Rennie. And even though, as Councillor Feeney said, there will be some money that will be coming to us through the tech grant, but still we have to go and authorize the total amount that we need to borrow. All right, so that's it. We're going to second question period now. A second question period is only on matters that pertain to the agenda. And I'm looking now and I don't see any questions have come in. So there are no questions for second question period. Alors, je vais demander quelqu'un de proposer la levée de séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît?
Oui.
Et c'est parfait, je vous remercie. Alors, j'aimerais vous remercier d'être avec nous ce soir et j'espère que vous restez en santé et en sécurité. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Please stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you very much. Good evening. Bonsoir.
Bye bye, bonsoir.
Bonsoir.